everybody, welcome to Arrow on Target. We are your hosts.
You can find us online at StayOnTargetPodcast.com. John.
Yes.
This episode of Arrow was epic.
It was Oliver's epic return as well.
It was.
What is that? That's a Nashville Predators hat you're wearing right there.
You're like, what is that?
I was wondering if it had something to do with the show, because you made a point to put it on because we're on video.
Yes.
And
it has nothing to do with Arrow.
No, it has everything to do with
hockey.
And covering your hair.
That too.
And keeping your ears warm.
Pretty horrendous.
Yeah.
My ears are plenty warm. But
I'm
yes,
adjusting the microphone. I apologize to everyone on the video.
This episode of Arrow is called Uprising.
And there was an uprising in the streets,
The conclusion to basically this three-part episode, coming back from the mid-season finale, about Brick. What was his last name? I don't know.
That was his last name.
No.
It was Brickwell. Was his last name.
Was it like
what
Randall?
was his first name? It was Randall. Where did you get that?
I don't know. I'm just pulling it out of the name.
Let me see. Daniel Brickwell.
Daniel. See, I was close. Randall and Daniel are very close.
They kind of rhyme. Like if you were a rapper, you could slide this in as the second,
exactly.
the second phrase.
So Daniel Brickwell had taken over the Glades.
Yep.
Kicked all the cops out, and I guess basically the vigilantes, the Team Arrow, were the only ones there keeping a semblance of order.
So that was super cool.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing that, I guess whenever they introduce them, wherever Roy steps in front of them, and it's like then he gets pinned with the shotgun or whatever, and then Canary comes in, does her thing, and it's like, wow, this is awesome.
I had a thought while I was watching this episode, and I almost wish that Oliver stayed away for longer. I love seeing the team without him. I
think we finished last week's episode, or maybe it was the week before, it was like, hey, there's interesting stuff enough going on where Oliver is. So it's like he had a cool storyline going on by himself.
Right.
And they had a really cool storyline going on by themselves.
Right.
So it's compelling enough. Why not just keep them apart for another couple episodes?
Yeah.
I would have enjoyed seeing it too. It's really, and I mentioned last week that it's interesting how easily the show slipped from being all about Oliver to this team.
Yeah.
And the pacing was super solid whenever it's like that. Because you're not just rolling with the punches on one guy. It's all about, Diggle, what's he up to, what's Felicity doing, and all this other stuff. So I kind
of hope they continue that with Oliver back on the team.
Agreed.
Keep it an ensemble team show.
For sure, and it's definitely believable now to do it that way, because before Roy was with him, but he was playing this secondary role almost. But for the month that Oliver's been gone, he has kind of been the dude along with Diggle and along with Laurel now.
Yeah.
So it's this trial by fire of the Arrow team. And so now it's going to be even more believable whenever he comes back if they continue on to this, on these major roles where it's he doesn't have to be the one to go out all the time. Maybe he sends Roy over here and then Laura goes over there. Whatever that is. I think what would be less believable is if they slip back into their old team roles that they had before Oliver went away.
Right.
They got shaken up, and now I hope that the team is never the same. I hope the team gets better at what they do.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to me, the kind of drama that's going on between Felicity and the rest of the team.
Yeah, let's dive into to the specifics of the episodes.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of issues going on. All right.
Yeah.
The first, let's kind of work in chronological order. The first thing I wanted to touch on is the fact that Roy and
Sin or
Roy. There's this weird thing going on between Roy and Thea.
Okay.
Where Thea knows who Roy is. We kind of talked about this earlier.
Yep.
Thea knows who Roy is. She's put that together. How has she not put together that Oliver is Arrow? Or has she, and she's just playing dumb with everyone?
I almost think that's the case. I almost think either she's put it together or she's she suspects something's up.
She's not an idiot, man.
No, she's not. And she think about this. She knows whenever people are lying to her.
Yeah.
Almost immediately.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so whenever he comes back in and he says, and then she immediately calls him out on it. On this episode, at the end of the episode, he says something about
I was in prison.
I was in prison, or I was in jail for, however many days and for a month. And then she was like, I thought you didn't do that anymore. And he's like, me neither. And she immediately calls him out on it. So I don't think, things aren't adding up. 1 and 1 is not equaling 2
Right.
in her world right now. So
Right.
she's like either going through that process of going, he's lying to me, you know, or she already knows.
Right. That's
So,
true.
Those are the two things that I would say.
Yeah, so there's that, and like honestly, I'm honestly really tired of that whole storyline where like she does not know. Like,
Yeah.
good grief.
Well, we also established, okay, so something I loved about this episode, and I liked the development on her character, that this episode, we know where she stands. Like, we know that if she decides to, hey, go out in the city, become a vigilante, whatever, she's not going to be Malcolm's person.
Right.
She's not going to
She's
go
not
out
a
there
mini
and just...
Malcolm.
Yeah, she's not going to, like, try to kill a bunch of people. It's like
Right.
her standards and her, like, her morals
Yeah.
have remained intact throughout the training process. And if anything, they've brought Malcolm up a little bit to where like he's thinking less about himself or whatever, where you know, which is arguable because he did put her in danger by
Right.
having her kill somebody and all of that whole situation.
I was also
but-
kind of surprised that she didn't end up going out in the streets and fighting, although she has no motivation for doing so.
Right. I think we talked about that last episode of Air on Target as well, where it's like they need to give her a catalyst to actually getting on the team.
Yeah.
You know, they gave Laurel that now, and
Yeah.
and I really appreciate that, and I like where she's at with the team. It was interesting to see her in more close-up things. Was she using the bow staff this episode? Or
Yeah.
did she kind of like... She's gotten a lot better with it, but from last episode to this episode.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's more close combat too, which is more for her training.
She has, and it's all about confidence. Like, so, like, whenever you have, you know, I just get tired of these storylines where, like, you know, somebody doesn't have enough confidence in themselves and all this kind of stuff. And, like, it's a very CW thing to do.
Yeah.
So, like, I liked seeing her actually, like, be confident out there fighting. Like, you know, they even referenced the fact that she was nervous and scared, but she still, like, you know, went out there and did it. And so, like, I hope that just kind of continues and she gets more confident as we go on. Yeah, like it was also cool seeing Detective Lance figure out who Roy is, like where he knows who Roy is.
That's hilarious.
He's like
dude.
just basically like
that whole conversation
don't play
was
with
funny.
me.
Yeah,
Like, just stop the act.
well, it's like, and it begs the question, like if Roy was trying to disguise his voice because you know he would know him.
Yeah.
Does Lance figure he knows who Arrow is, or who knows him in real life, or could recognize him? That
I think
sort of
if
thing.
he thought of, we've talked about this before, where he just chooses not to figure it out. I think so. This scene, to me, made the scene later whenever Sin told Detective Lance, if you've talked to the Canary,
Yeah.
you would know it's not Sarah. And it threw, like, because you go back to this conversation he had with Roy.
Yep.
He knows that that's Roy because just based on the conversations that he has had with him, the
Yep.
voice has changed. Like he
Well,
knows
he's
it's
still
Roy.
wearing a red hoodie.
He should have known that the words that she uses, like, you should have known that that's not your daughter.
Yeah.
Problem was, it is his daughter, just the wrong one.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think he's going to figure this out fairly soon.
Yeah, I agree. And I loved bringing Sin back. Okay, so it's fun, like, I guess last season, there was a lot of characters where it was like, we felt like, hey, the writers don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
They just basically took a bunch of cool characters, really cool people, really good actors, and threw them into this world, and they didn't quite know where they fit, or where all the puzzle pieces fit. She fit perfectly in this episode.
Yes.
And it was refreshing to see her actually, you know, come into the plot, and to be swinging a baseball bat and just owning dudes with a baseball bat, you know?
Yeah, it was really cool.
So I appreciated her character in this sense because she played a part in the larger plot. She
Yeah.
played a part for Detective Lance, and you know she had a good reason to be there. It was awesome.
She spent a lot of time with Sarah, and so she's one of the people who could say that that's not Sarah.
Well, she spent a lot of time with Sarah as Canary as
Right.
well, so
That's
it's
what I
like she
mean.
would be able to recognize her like nothing.
Right. I also I give props to the Arrow writers for taking her character away whenever she wasn't needed.
Right.
Like, you know, I think a lot of times, you know, the characters just stick around. And we didn't need her character, so we didn't see it for, I mean, has it been all season?
It's been all season, yeah. And that's been a question on a lot of fans' minds. Like I'll see every once in a while people tweet it out.
We've talked about it on the podcast.
we've wondered too. But it's nice to see that, hey, that was a part of the plot too. Like she hadn't seen Roy in forever either.
Right.
You know, it wasn't just that you know, they were talking to her but it wasn't on screen or whatever. It was that she was just kind of left out of their lives for a while here.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe she'll continue on or play a bigger role, but she doesn't need to. I think that her character is a character that if she kind of comes back every once in a while, it's awesome.
Well,
but
I think that she'll stick around for this kind of story arc. We know where Detective Lance is trying to figure out who Canary is, because I think that he will use her to get close to Canary and figure out, like, Sin will figure out what's happened before Detective Lance figured out what happened. And honestly, like, I'm surprised that she felt like she had to go to Detective Lance to figure out what happened to Sarah, instead of asking Roy, because Roy said he would tell her.
Yeah, well, that was like closer to the like right at the end of the action. And obviously, if you're a costumed vigilante, you can't really stick around whenever the cops show up a bunch.
That's
you have
true.
to swing off on your your arrow.
Was she ever at the Arrow Cave? Does she know where it's at?
No.
Okay.
No.
So she really has no way. Besides, I guess she could call Roy though.
Yeah, she should just call him on the phone. And I think that she might. She will, probably. And my first note was, like, whenever Sin didn't know what happened to Sarah,
yeah.
I was like, she's not going to roll over as easy as Quentin did.
No.
Because, like, Quentin, all he needed was for Sarah to tell him, no, don't try to find me. And that's all he needed.
Right.
Sin is her, like, close friend and, like, all of, where she was involved in the ins and outs of being Canary.
Yeah.
And so she would... I don't know. I mean, it's
Lance has always had that kind of attitude with Sarah, where it's like, just don't tell me what you're up to. I don't want to know. I just want to know you're okay.
Yeah.
And so, like, as long as he is under the idea that she is okay, he doesn't want to know anything beyond that. Sin is not that person, though.
Right. No, she's a person that needs to know answers and things.
Right.
So I liked her character there. What did you think about the other additional character we had? What's his name? I can't remember his name.
I keep thinking the Cougar, but that's not it.
Anyway, so the guy who trained
Bobcat?
No, it's not Bobcat. It's
the,
Wildcat. That's what
Wildcat.
it is. Boom.
Yes. There we go.
Man, I don't know where my mind is at.
Crowdsourcing the name of that character.
Yeah.
I liked that was the first person I thought of whenever she said that, like, I thought she was going to say Wildcat whenever Laurel's, she said we can ask for help from the town, I guess is the way she worded it, or the city.
From the city, yeah.
And I thought she was going to say from, Wildcat. And obviously she's going to go to the person who trained her, like, and that makes total sense. And I liked seeing him actually out on the streets. It'd be cool to see, it'd be interesting to see what would happen and how would Oliver respond if more vigilante groups started taking justice into their own hands.
Well, I mean, honestly, like, it would be depend on how they did it. It would depend on the methods. And his methods are pretty extreme, but I mean, he does have his line where he doesn't kill people anymore, and that's the only reason the police are okay with him. At this point. And so, like, I don't know. I mean, it's just. It would be weird to see that, and then also with the reveal of what's his name in the Atom suit, Ray Palmer,
Brandon Ruth. We haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah. That I'm wondering how that's going to play into Oliver's team as well.
Yeah, the noticeable absence in this episode was Brandon Ruth's character. Like, you would think that he would be trying to do something. We saw him kind of try to throw money around and do the billionaire thing. In the last episode, and it didn't really work out for him the best, like
making it rain with his
yes. I mean, I don't know what he wanted to accomplish by all that anyway. I think maybe he's just heads down. I have to get this Atom suit finished.
Yeah, either that or, like, I mean, I don't know. It was weird that this episode took place, I guess, back in the city. The episode took place in one night.
Yeah.
So it's not far fetched to see. Not see him, but it
the whole
does.
episode didn't take place one night, but like the majority of it did.
Right,
like,
but it would have been nice to see maybe him and Felicity because she just gave him this chip, and it's like that's supposed to be the big thing that finishes his suit or whatever. Right. And it would be nice to maybe receive a phone call or, like, hang up a phone call where it's like, oh, that was Ray, or like whatever, just some sort of a reference to him. It would have been nice. However, if you'd crammed one more thing into this episode, I think the pacing might have been a little bit off. So.
Yeah. We haven't talked about it officially on this podcast. The Atom suit was revealed. Ray Palmer inside the Atom suit, and it looks amazing.
Super cool, dude.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best looking superhero costumes on television.
Yeah, and it's you made the comments on the other podcast on Stay on Target, StayOnTargetPodcast.com, that you can see his face.
Yeah.
That it's like he's not really trying to hide his identity, at least at this juncture.
In the photo, yeah, like I said, like the visor may like frost up or go black or something, kind of like a RoboCop kind of thing, or like it might obscure his identity, but like as of right now, it doesn't look like he's trying to do that.
Yeah, and we've said before that Diggle is out on the street just kind of like doing his thing. In this episode, more than any others, I guess the whole community was out there with no masks, but it's like Diggle obviously stood up, like walked up right there next to them. Him and Felicity were right there. Was she there? Was she out there? She wasn't out there. No, it was him and Sin. That's who it was. Because there was 4 of them.
Felicity was in the van though.
Yeah.
Where was Felicity during all that?
I don't know. That's a good question. Was she on the street?
I don't know.
She doesn't really know how to fight.
She can't fight anybody.
Like she
was just been in the van.
She must have been doing something.
Why would she not have just stayed in the arrow cave though?
I don't know. We really didn't see her in the action.
That's true. That's weird. Weird, kind of.
However,
yeah,
if she was in the arrow cave, she really couldn't have done much. And the one scene about this show that was like my favorite scene was the van scene.
Really?
Because like whenever they were all 4 in there, basically amping each other up to go do this.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, that was hilarious. Like, because, you know, that interchange there, it showed the realism of like, you know, what would this team do before a battle like this or whatever. Right. So
yeah. I really like that as well. That's a good point. Oh, you'd mentioned talking about the arrows or the Atom suit still that he might be doing a kind of an Iron Man thing.
Yeah, where it's just like, oh, I have millions. Who can touch me?
Right.
You know.
Which is true.
Yeah, puts the target on him versus other people in the city. And you wonder what that's going to do to the team. That's going to do to Team Arrow.
Let's talk about that for a second. So right now, like there's this, you had mentioned it earlier, there's this pull of Felicity away from the team and toward Ray Palmer.
Yeah.
And especially away from Oliver here. Now, she's wildly overreacting. And but I liked the way that they... because we've talked about this before, and I think we've kind of come to a good place with this on the show, where that they do that with everyone. So like if there's a reaction, you should go 10 degrees, they go 35.
Yeah,
you know, and so her overreaction is understandable in terms of how they treat characters on this show.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I liked the way that they wrote her. And the difference between how she thought Oliver would respond in various situations.
Yeah.
And how he actually would respond.
Yeah.
And so she has this idea in her head, and I think she's always had this idea in her head of who Oliver should be and who she wants him to be. And
right.
Well, you made a good comment.
I think she's in love with, like the comment was, I think that she's in love with the idea of Oliver, or like her idea of Oliver, where it's like he stands for these things and he's, you know, he wants to help the city, he wants to do these things, but she's not really...
He loves her unconditionally.
But she's not really in love with him, because it's like whenever you look at like what he does, she doesn't really like it.
Right.
She doesn't really like the methods that he uses. She doesn't really like a lot of these things that he does. And he
lies to her and everyone.
He consistently just tells you know, falsehoods or hides the truth from people. And so, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think that she loves him, because if she really truly loved who he was, it would be not much of an issue. It's like, okay, that's Oliver's personality trait for him to not tell me the truth, or for him to... It's like, while this may not be fair, it's like, that's who you fell in love with.
It's an interesting point. And, like, I'm interested to see what happens, because there's, I guess it was released maybe earlier this week or last week, that there's going to be a crossover. Ray Palmer's going to go to the Flash and I guess get help on his Atom suit from the Flash.
That makes sense.
That relationship probably happens because of Felicity's connection to Barry.
So are they both going to go over there, you think?
I don't know if they're both going. I mean, she obviously would have to make that connection.
Yeah.
Or it's just the fact that Ray is a billionaire.
Technology.
He calls up
Harrison.
Dr. Wells, and is like, hey, I need help on this suit.
I mean, both of those are plausible. I don't know. I really think that they're trying to push Felicity away from Team Arrow and away from Oliver, and so having this other, like, the ideals that Ray Palmer says that he wants are basically the things that she likes. She's the things she likes about Oliver, but they're in a more palatable package. Maybe.
Well, and her argument for like why she shouldn't help Ray have always been really, really.
Like she doesn't want him to get hurt or whatever.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, that's really weak. It's not a really good argument.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm concerned about is that we still really don't know his true motives.
Right.
Like he says that he wants to make the city better for her, but why? Like he hasn't always lived here. Like we don't know what he wanted. He bought Queen Consolidated strictly for the tech, not because he wanted to, like literally make the city a better place. And so I think this could go to one or two ways. Go with me here.
Okay.
Down a journey.
So here's the two ways.
First way.
Ray
Palmer's intentions are entirely good.
So everything that he says.
He's gone on a noble quest to make the city a better place. And Felicity will join him and will leave Team Arrow because she doesn't like the way that Oliver operates. She doesn't, she doesn't want to be one of the girls he loves. And she goes with Ray. They start her Adam show, and Felicity goes to Adam.
Okay, so we posited that same type of thing, like where Felicity leaves the show around the same time of Flash. And while it was plausible, it didn't really pan out because we never, because, honestly, the Flash is a pretty awesome show on its own, doesn't really need her character. I don't know, but what you're saying is very, because I don't know, the Adam and Ray Palmer have never been that appealing to me. Like, right. It's, and I have said on the show before, like, he kind of creeps me out a little bit. Like, early on, and like the way they were writing him,
a creeper.
Yeah, he was so like stalkerish.
Showing up at her house.
Yeah, and just walking in,
like taking her mom out on a date or whatever it was.
I don't know, dude. There's a lot of things. Like, there was a lot of things like early on with his character, a lot of missteps where he came off too strong, and maybe that was intentional, and we're seeing, I don't know. Anyway, so like I just don't know if a show without Felicity, an Adam show without Felicity, really could connect with a lot of people. Like, it wouldn't necessarily connect with me just because I don't really care about his character that much.
Well,
beyond his interactions with Felicity.
The reason I think that could happen is what you just said, and the fact that the way that they've built up his character is she is his closest advisor / friend.
Yeah.
More so than Oliver. Think about, like, whenever she started working for Oliver, he was the billionaire owner of Queen Consolidated, and, she wanted to help out. Now she's back with the billionaire owner of Palmer Incorporated, which is the same company, just different name, doing the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
And I think she's attracted to that type, like the billionaire.
Or, like, the like I was thinking, it's like, again, his ideals... Like, the ideals that Oliver said whenever he initially started, whenever she joined the team, were, they were all noble.
Right.
And the same thing with him. It's like, until you get into
they weren't really noble,
mindset.
like, because that was back whenever Oliver was killing people and she didn't throw a fuss about it.
Oh.
Now she does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The, one reason why I think that she could go with him, another reason is, like, Team Arrow is getting really bloated. Like, we lost Sarah, but we really didn't lose anyone because we have Laurel now as the canary. Mm-hmm. We have maybe Wildcat, like, in the mix somehow there. We have something, now Malcolm Merlin's in the mix because he's training Oliver. Thea's going to enter the mix at some point somehow.
Sure.
Like, this is getting crazy bloated. Like,
yeah, and it's like, if you continue down this route, a lot of people are going to sit out a lot of episodes,
well, and honestly, like, Diggle, they just have to, all they have to do is somehow Felicity trains people on the computers, and, well, all of a sudden, you don't need Felicity anymore.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's definitely a possibility. What is possibility 2?
One more step further.
Okay.
Think about, like, the current run of Batman comics. Bruce Wayne just asks his computer everything and does stuff. Like,
sister,
she could build an AI that just does everything for her.
That's true.
Possibility number 2. Felicity says, "Screw you, Team Arrow." Goes and joins Ray Palmer. Sometime later this season, we find out his intentions are not noble, and he's going to do something crazy, something crazy destructive to the city. And Oliver and Team Arrow have to stop him. Felicity figures it out, goes and tells them, and falls back, and they have to stop Adam somehow.
I feel like that would be a cool idea, but I don't know if it would happen this season. I think the rest of this season, we're dealing with Ra's al Ghul and that whole gang of things. I think that Malcolm and that are going to take priority, which is weird. Like, the way this season has like shaped up has been super strange. but I like it.
Yeah.
I like the way like it's been completely random up until this point, and like then now we're having like these arcs where it's like we're wrapping things up. I think mid-season, I guess the mid-season finale, we were talking about it's like well, there are so many untied knots here, and now we've just asked way more questions, and now they're starting to tie some of these up, and it's nice to see some of that.
There were like smaller arcs in the beginning of the season, and like, but they would have these like kind of one-shot kind of episodes that literally meant nothing in the grand scheme of things. They would introduce characters or something like that. But honestly, like, and we would have, that's why I was glad to see some Wildcat, because we had that whole backstory episode. Then it really kind of faded away, and he was just Laurel's trainer. And so, like, I'm excited to see like this direction. We had this like these 3 episodes that were really, really good. And I really like the villain. I really like Brick as a villain. I really hope we see more street level crime, kind of like that. Like, it really feels really Gotham-esque, and I love that. No, if that happens, what I just described, I think we make it to the end of the season. We end the season with Oliver defeating Ra's al Ghul, but the kicker is Felicity leaves Team Arrow because he kills Ra's al Ghul, and she's against killing now. So she goes and joins Team Adam, and we deal with all that next season.
So that's another thing, like
Slash on the Adam
that
show.
I didn't catch, and I mean, you said like he mentioned killing Ra's al Ghul, and so like I don't know. I mean, do you think he's gonna actually kill him? Well, I mean, do you think that's on the table right now?
Yeah, I think that's on the table right now because it's basically be or be killed.
Yeah.
And when he was going to kill him on the top. Well, he said he didn't know whether he would or not, but he was trying to kill him. Like, what's he going to do? Wound him and then just leave him on top of the mountain? I mean, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And maybe he would, but come on, like, Oliver's not that dumb.
I don't know.
He knows that the only way to escape Ra's is to kill him. The other thing that you run into, though, is like there were theories because Ra's had mentioned that he had been alive for like hundreds of years and stuff like that, is that he
last person he faced was 70 years ago.
Yeah,
he's obviously not 70 years old.
Exactly. So somehow like either Ra's is the same person and he's being like healed and kept young by something like the Lazarus Pit.
Yeah.
Or Ra's is the title and it's a different person, so you kill one, another one rises up. It just never ends.
Yeah. I mean, either one of those is plausible. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm biased because I don't like Ray Palmer, and so like I think he'll probably. My impulse is to say he's going to be a bad guy, but I don't know if that's true because I mean they're really setting him up as this kind of like White Knight comes in. I don't know, like they're setting him up really well, and unless they pull a big twist on us at the end of the season. I really don't know. I mean, I think they're going to go positive.
I don't know. Either way, I'm really excited to see what the reveal is.
Yeah.
Because they're obviously putting a lot of time into his look, into his suit. Brandon Ruth is, a name actor. It's not like they hired some Joe Schmo to do it. And so
some would call him a Superman.
It's true. And so, like, I really think that they have plans for that character, and I'm excited to see where they go with it.
Yeah, I agree. So as far as Raish goes, though, I don't know if we're gonna end him this season. Like I don't know if they actually will. Maybe something like where he can come back or whatever. Because we ended Malcolm season 1 technically, and Malcolm slowed his heart rate or whatever he did and tricked them all. But I don't know. Something similar could happen with Raish, or I don't know. Lazarus Pits. I don't know.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, yeah. So the main, speaking of Malcolm, the main storyline, or I guess storyline, focused on Malcolm and his first kill.
It was his flashbacks.
What kind of forced him into this life of vengeance and this mercenary assassin life, and honestly, it was really interesting. Like, I don't think it was powerful in terms of how it affected the main storyline. But it was really interesting and honestly added an extra layer of depth to Malcolm. Yeah,
because his character's kind of been lacking in that department where, like, he's just insane and we don't know why he's insane. We don't know what made... And it's like we gave him this excuse of, like, oh, well, I listened to the voicemail of my wife dying over and over and over and over. And it's like, okay, all of that being said, we never actually saw it. We never
Right.
actually saw anything, and it was, and so now to see not only that, but his reaction to like Tommy and to like him being removed from Tommy and basically abandoning his son, for however many years that he trained.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, it's really personal to actually see it, and it gives him that depth, and I'm appreciative of that because he's always kind of missed that for me.
Yeah, and it didn't like legitimize the way that his actions.
Not at all.
The way that he has treated others around him and treated the city, but
if anything, it did the opposite of
right.
that.
But it added some context to it.
Yeah.
And it also like I think helped realize the relationship between him and Roz. He came to Roz in a very kind of a wrecked emotional state. He's very vulnerable, and so at that point he was very very easily influenced.
Right.
I love the reveal, like he did the whole coin trick earlier to Tommy, and then he did it to
Talia.
Yeah, to no, it
Talia.
wasn't Talia.
Yeah, it was Talia.
Nope.
Are you sure?
Yes, almost like 99% sure it was not Talia.
I'm almost positive it was.
It was Sarah's lover.
It's Talia.
That's not Talia.
Yeah, Talia al Ghul.
No.
Yes, it is.
Well, you look that up. I'll believe it whenever I see it. And so like he did the coin trick, and she gave him the name of the magician, so that's how he got the name the magician.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. I will say the weakest part of this episode.
Nissa.
Yep. And so it was Nissa.
Yeah.
Young Nissa. The weakest part of the episode were the child actors for Tommy and Oliver.
Agreed.
They were awful.
Well, it was super awkward. Every time they would say anything, I'd be like, "Whoa!"
It's the worst acting I've seen on this show.
I don't know. It was
It's
super
been a
strange.
long time.
It was really weird. Like I honestly don't know what the direction for them was because like it's show as little emotion as possible.
Yeah. Well, even just the dialogue was so stiff, and it was the performances, dude. Like they could have delivered those lines, and it wouldn't made me react in this way.
I don't know. It was weird. Like even whenever like the very first scene, whenever Tommy is having like this nightmare or whatever, he goes up and hugs him, and he's hugging him. He's trying.
Awkward thing.
Yeah, like Malcolm,
like,
you can tell that like he's trying.
Well, Malcolm wouldn't even look the kid in the eye. He was just kind of like looking like this. It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Well, it's like it was super weird. It was very strange.
Right. Yeah. So like I don't know. This kid's actors were kind of weird, but something that I thought was I don't know. Like whenever Malcolm met Oliver again, whenever he came to see Thea, like she's got to know, man. She's got to know who they both are.
I don't know. I don't know if she does or not, but I mean, I don't know. I really think she suspects. At least she is in that mode of like something is not working with my brother. Yeah. Yeah, I loved the speech at the end whenever Arrow actually returns to the city. Like, holy cow!
Yeah,
so good.
I mean, that was very Batman-esque as well, And I loved how he said, "You have not failed this city, and I will not fail this city."
Yep.
And so it was really cool. And we heard, Brick or what did they say, Daniel?
Yeah, they said, "Daniel Brickwell, you have failed this city," and the voice changer on Roy was such a nice touch.
Oh yeah, like. They kind of tried to use that voice changer on Laurel last episode. I was not really a fan of the way her voice sounded. I do agree that she does need a somehow cover up her voice. Or else we're going to figure it out. But I love the voice changer on both Roy and Oliver.
Yeah.
Cool. I still want Diggle to get an outfit and have a voice changer. These are the things I want moving forward. I want Detective Lance. I'm excited to see him figure this out. Finally.
Please figure it out.
Yeah. Don't keep this going longer than this season, at least, for sure. I don't know what he's going to do. How do you think he'll react? Well, this is what I hope they don't do. They keep referencing that it will kill him if he finds out that Sarah is
What if
dead.
He dies? What if he just... what if immediately, they're like, nope, it's true, she's dead. Ah! And he's gone. Gone off the show.
Massive heart attack.
No, yeah,
So I hope they don't go that
find a
route.
Lazarus pit.
That's TGIF, Friday Night Television.
Oh, gosh.
Carl Winslow has a heart attack or something.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen, but I could see it happening.
Yeah, I can, because they hinted at it again. This episode, they heavily hinted, because he gets off the phone and he's all stressed and he's pop the heart pill or whatever, and I'm like, okay. You know,
Is that how heart pills work? I don't know.
Don't know.
Like,
I don't have a heart condition.
I feel stressed. Pop.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, imagine if your blood pressure gets high enough, like it's gonna like jar something loose in there or whatever. You know,
jar something. That's you put your
like
nuts and bolts in
it's like gonna stress out your heart. It's like if you take a blood thinner, like it'll thin your blood immediately. So it's like yeah. I mean, it probably does work kind of like that.
And so moving forward, I could see that happening. I'm excited to see like him actually find out. I'm excited to see Thea figure some things out. Like she needs to figure out the truth about Oliver and about Malcolm Merlyn.
That fight scene between her and Malcolm was some of the best that we've seen on the show.
That's the thing. I want to see her actually in action against villains, like, or against another opponent who's trying to kill her, not just someone who's training her.
Right. Me too, dude. Me too. Well, like, I don't know if she's ready for that. Again, I think everybody needs a crucible. I don't think she's gone through her crucible just yet.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Hoods up, hoods down.
Oh, hoods up for sure.
Yeah, this is definitely.
I honestly think we need to start like rating these on like, I mean, instead of hoods up, hoods down.
How many hoods?
Yes, on like a scale of 1 to 5 hoods.
1 to 5. I like this.
Yes.
Can we do like point hoods, like half hoods?
Sure, I guess.
So that's like that's a 10-point scale then.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
No, we're not gonna.
Okay. 1 to 5 hoods.
1 to 5 hoods. I give this one.
Yeah. I give this one a 4.5 hood.
So we are doing a 10-point scale. Come on. Okay.
It's only 10 points, but there's half points.
Okay.
Or 5 points, but
there's
there's
half points.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would also give this a 4.5 hood.
Okay.
Is there a 5 hood in your mind? Like a 5
last
hood
episode was 5 hoods.
Last episode, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It was very Gotham-esque.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And the episode before that was probably 5 hoods for me.
I think it was probably 4.5 hoods.
Like, I would give it that extra half of a hood just for the pipe, Roy running through the pipe shot really cool. Alone, where it spins upside down and oh my gosh!
That was amazing.
Anyway, sorry, things like that just...
it was great. It was great.
They give me chills.
The music in this episode was amazing again. It's been amazing the last 3 episodes.
Dude, they've upped their game as far as the production and stuff goes on this show. Man, so good.
Yeah.
So 4.5 hoods.
Well, that's it. Do you have any quotes?
I have a lot of quotes, but we'll pick the best ones here so we don't take up a ton of time.
Yes.
We have Felicity saying, we call ourselves Team Arrow. Well, at least I do. Whenever she was on the phone with Detective, or now it's Captain Lance. We did debate that, and yeah. Then we have Quentin Lance saying, Arsenal? What are you just pulling names out of a hat now?
Yeah, they kind of do.
Yeah, it's just that one actually makes sense if you know the story, but it's like
yeah.
All right, so then we have, let me see, skip down a little bit here. We have, that's the Glades precinct, Laurel says. And then Roy says, well, it's not like the police are using it. And then Felicity says, great. And we can add irony to the list of charges against Brick. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yes.
All right, so then we have one of my favorite things. It was the pumping up in the car. So I'm going to read the sequence of events here. Okay. We have Felicity who says, feels like we're like recess and we're about to fight the school bully. And then Roy asks Laurel, are you ready? She nods. And he says, Laurel, it's okay to say you're scared. And she says, okay, I'm scared. Is what we're doing crazy? And then he says, I've learned it's better to ask that whenever I'm not wearing a mask. And then Diggle says, there's never been an armed occupation in history that wasn't overthrown by force. An all-out assault on Brick is the only way to end this. And then Felicity says, then let's end it. One way or the other. I just loved in that scene, like, everybody's dealing with things in their own weird way, where, like, Diggle is taking things down to, like, okay, we have to do this. This is an assault. He's going tactical.
Yeah.
Felicity's, like, putting it against something that she knows, and Roy and Laurel are just back in the back cracking jokes, and she's, stressing out.
Speaking of Felicity again, did we talk about when she really stood against teaming up with Malcolm Merlyn, and then he teamed up with Malcolm Merlyn? I love that for some reason. That she really doesn't. She doesn't know Oliver as well as she thinks she does, and again, she has this weird skewed view of him.
Well, it's also at Oliver's point, it's like, I don't know if he would have teamed up against him unless he absolutely had to this time. And you absolutely have to.
Sometimes the enemy of your enemy is your friend.
Yeah, and I mean, he obviously didn't want Malcolm to kill Brick, so it's like, he probably wouldn't have tried to team up with him in that instance, like where it's like, hey, let me take you as a gun and aim you at Brick. But it's like in this way where it's like, I need, Ra's al Ghul is the guy that this big enemy, he needs him now. There is no other option. Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. It's like, she said he would never team up with him, and then he goes and teams up with him, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and I love that whole voting thing, like where Diggle comes up, you don't know what anybody voted.
Yeah.
At that point, you don't know who voted what or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, like if they won, it was only Roy who wanted to team up with him, but
right.
And that's only because he trusts Thea. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Last quote. Actually, I've got 2 more. Malcolm says, "When you've killed 503 people, including your son, you tend not to care about scales." It's pretty true.
That's a good perspective.
And then we've got the last one, which is the arrow. And it says, "I've been gone, and I'm sorry. Sorry for what the city had to endure in my absence. But you did endure it. You did not fail this city. And I promise, I will not fail you again by leaving it again." There you go.
Yes.
And that's the best.
No vacations for Oliver.
No vacations anymore. He's not gonna go running off to Corto Maltese anymore.
Nope.
None of those crazy adventures.
No.
I really think that he's probably going to end up leaving at some point.
He's going to have to break that.
Yeah.
At some point. Well, that's it for this week. You can find us online at StayOnTargetPodcast.com. These go up every single week, both on YouTube and on iTunes / whatever.
Our
place.
website.
Yeah, our website, wherever you get your
StayOnTargetPodcast.com.
Exactly. You can find us on Twitter at ChrisWright250.
And JohnWright777.
And at StayOnTargetPod. This week on our main podcast, Stay on Target Podcast, we are talking about collectibles and some entertainment news and
lots of entertainment news.
Yeah, a lot of other stuff. So you should check that out.
We also do the Flash on Target podcast.
Yes.
So check that out as well. It's about the most recent episode of The Flash.
Yep. That's it for this week. We'll see you next time on
Arrow on Target. And I don't have the video done.